High Admiral Drexel of the Draconian Empire couldn't contain his laughter as he watched the transmission from Earth. The humans, those primitive beings barely capable of interplanetary travel, were proudly unveiling their new flagship vessel, the Phoenix. His serpentine features twisted into what passed for a smile among his species, scales gleaming under the command deck's lights. They dare to call this vessel a breakthrough in space warfare, he hissed, addressing his bridge crew. Look at its primitive hull design. They've barely mastered basic plasma containment. The assembled Draconian officers joined in his derision, their collective scorn filling the command center of the mighty warship, Eternal Dominance. On the main view screen, the Phoenix hung in Earth orbit, its sleek design unlike anything humanity had previously constructed. The vessel's unusual configuration and apparent lack of visible weapons or defense systems only added to the Draconians' amusement. Send a message to their command, Drexel ordered, settling into his command throne. Let's hear them try to justify this waste of resources. The communications officer established a link, and Director James Richardson of the Earth Defense Force appeared on screen. A seasoned veteran with graying temples and stern features, he stood proudly on the Phoenix's bridge alongside Technical Chief Olivia Patel, the brilliant engineer behind the vessel's revolutionary design. Director Richardson, Drexel's voice dripped with mockery, your species continues to amuse us. This vessel you've constructed, it wouldn't last 5 minutes against even our smallest patrol ship. Richardson maintained his diplomatic composure, though his jaw tightened slightly. High Admiral, we appreciate your assessment. The Phoenix represents decades of human innovation and research. Perhaps a demonstration. Demonstration? Drexel interrupted, mandibles clicking in amusement. Very well. Deploy a single fighter. Let's see your precious Phoenix attempt to defend itself against even that. Olivia Patel stepped forward, her dark eyes showing no fear despite the Draconian's condescension. Admiral, we would be happy to demonstrate the Phoenix's capabilities. However, we suggest. Silence. Drexel's tail whipped in irritation. You humans don't suggest anything. You've been tolerated in this sector because you posed no threat. But this pathetic attempt at military advancement? It insults the Empire's intelligence. The Draconian fighter launched from the Eternal Dominance, its crystalline structure gleaming as it approached the Phoenix. The human vessel remained stationary, making no apparent move to defend itself. No weapon systems powering up, reported the Draconian tactical officer, his scales rippling with amusement. No shield generation detected. They're completely exposed. Of course they are, Drexel sneered. Their technology is centuries behind ours. This will be a valuable lesson in humility. He leaned forward, addressing Richardson again. Watch carefully, human. This is what real military power looks like. The fighter fired a warning shot, a low-powered plasma burst that should have scorched the Phoenix's hull. Instead, something unexpected happened, or rather, nothing happened at all. The plasma burst simply, vanished as it approached the vessel. Weapons malfunction? Drexel demanded, his amusement fading slightly. Negative, Admiral, his tactical officer reported, confusion evident in his voice. The weapon fired correctly. We can't explain why it didn't impact. On the Phoenix's bridge, Richardson and Patel exchanged knowing looks. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. The Draconian scorn had blinded them to the subtle hints of the Phoenix's true nature, just as Earth's carefully crafted misinformation campaign had intended. Perhaps, Richardson suggested carefully, the Admiral would like to try something more substantial? Drexel's scales flushed dark with anger at the implied challenge. Launch full fighter squadron, he commanded. Show these primitives the full might of Draconian military power. As the fighters streamed from the Eternal Dominance's launch base, Olivia Patel made a small adjustment to her control panel. All systems nominal, Director, she reported quietly. They still haven't detected the quantum field matrix. Good, Richardson nodded. Let them continue to underestimate us. Phase 1 is proceeding perfectly. The Draconian fighters moved into attack formation, their weapons charged to full power. High Admiral Drexel watched with satisfaction, certain he was about to witness the humiliation of humanity's pathetic attempt at advancement. He had no way of knowing that his scorn was exactly what Earth had been counting on all along. The squadron of Draconian fighters surrounded the Phoenix, their crystalline hulls forming a deadly constellation against the backdrop of Earth. Inside the Eternal Dominance, High Admiral Drexel watched with growing irritation, as each fighter's weapon's fire simply disappeared before reaching the human vessel. "Impossible," he snarled, his tail lashing violently against his command throne. "Scan that vessel again. There must be some form of shielding we're not detecting." Lieutenant Zexkar, his chief science officer, worked frantically at his station. "Admiral, our scans still show no conventional defense systems. It's as if the energy simply ceases to exist before impact." On the Phoenix's bridge, Technical Chief Olivia Patel monitored the quantum field matrix readings with satisfaction. The Draconians' increasingly powerful attacks were actually strengthening their defensive capabilities, exactly as theorized. Beside her, Director Richardson maintained his calm demeanor during the ongoing communication with Drexel. "Admiral, perhaps we should discuss this situation diplomatically," Richardson suggested, hiding his amusement at the Draconian leader's obvious frustration. "Diplomacy?" Drexel's scales darkened with rage. "You dare to mock the Empire with this trickery? Deploy the heavy cruisers. Let's see how your vessel handles genuine military hardware." 3 massive Draconian cruisers moved into position, their weapon systems charging to full power. Each ship was capable of reducing a small moon to rubble, their firepower legendary throughout the galaxy. The Phoenix remained motionless, appearing vulnerable and defenseless. "Still no defensive systems detected," Zexkar reported, his voice carrying an edge of uncertainty. "Admiral, something about this isn't right. The humans are too calm." "They're bluffing," Drexel insisted, though doubt had begun to creep into his voice. "All cruisers, fire main batteries. Full power." The space around the Phoenix lit up as 3 devastating energy beams converged on its position. The assembled Draconian crew waited for the satisfaction of seeing the human vessel vaporized. Instead, they watched in stunned silence as the beams curved around the Phoenix, forming a brilliant spiral before dissipating harmlessly into space. Inside the Phoenix, Olivia worked quickly at her console. "Energy absorption at optimal levels, Director. The quantum matrix is now fully charged." Richardson nodded, allowing himself a small smile. "Admiral Drexel, would you be interested in seeing what the Phoenix can actually do? What trickery is this?" Drexel demanded, standing from his throne. "No known technology can deflect weapons of that magnitude." "No known conventional technology," Olivia corrected him. "The Phoenix operates on entirely different principles. Your attacks haven't been threatening us. They've been powering us." To demonstrate her point, she initiated a minimal energy pulse from the Phoenix. The quantum wave rippled outward, invisible to normal sensors but devastating in its effect. As it passed through the nearest Draconian cruiser, all of its systems simultaneously began to fail. "Admiral," the cruiser's captain called in panic. "We're losing power to all systems. Weapons, engines, life support, everything is shutting down." Drexel watched in disbelief as one of his most powerful vessels began to drift helplessly in space. His tactical officers scrambled to make sense of what they were witnessing, their sensors providing contradictory and impossible readings. "It seems," Richardson said calmly, "that you've made some incorrect assumptions about human technological capabilities, Admiral. The Phoenix isn't just a new vessel, it's the first of its kind to harness quantum state manipulation on a massive scale." "Quantum state? Impossible," Zexkar exclaimed. "The energy requirements alone would be easily met by absorbing the power of 3 heavy cruisers' main batteries," Olivia finished for him. "Thank you for that, by the way. We could have charged the system ourselves, but your contribution was much more efficient." Drexel's facial scales had paled to an almost white color, a sign of extreme distress in his species. "This changes nothing," he declared, though his voice lacked its previous confidence. "The Empire will not be intimidated by a single vessel, no matter how unusual its capabilities." "Of course not," Richardson agreed. "Which is why we felt it necessary to inform you that the Phoenix isn't unique. It's simply the first to be revealed publicly." As if to emphasize his point, space rippled around the eternal dominance as 3 more vessels similar to the Phoenix decloaked, their quantum fields becoming visible for the first time. They had been present throughout the entire confrontation, undetectable to even the most advanced Draconian sensors. In the stunned silence that followed, Olivia checked her readings one final time. "All sister ships reporting ready, Director. Quantum fields synchronized and ready for demonstration phase 2. "Very well," Richardson nodded, turning his attention back to the increasingly agitated Draconian admiral. "Now then, Admiral Drexel, shall we discuss those diplomatic options?" The once confident Draconian leader could only stare at his tactical display, Watching as his mighty fleet found itself surrounded by technology he couldn't begin to understand. His scornful laughter from earlier seemed like a distant memory now, replaced by the dawning realization that he had catastrophically underestimated humanity's capabilities. And the humans hadn't even revealed their true advantages yet. High Admiral Drexel paced the command deck of the Eternal Dominance, his claws clicking against the metallic floor. The situation had spiraled far beyond his initial assessment. What should have been a simple show of force had become a tactical nightmare. For human vessels with inexplicable capabilities now held his fleet in check, and his pride wouldn't let him retreat. "My lord," First Commander Krax approached cautiously, "the Imperial Command has responded to our emergency transmission. The First Strike Fleet is en route. Estimated arrival in 30 minutes. Drexel's scales rippled with renewed confidence. "Excellent. Let's see how these humans handle 200 of our most advanced warships." He opened the communication channel to the Phoenix. "Director Richardson, your deception ends today. The full might of the Draconian Empire approaches. Surrender now, and perhaps we'll be merciful." Richardson exchanged glances with Olivia before responding. "Admiral, we've been completely honest with you. The fact that you interpreted our honesty as deception is not our responsibility. I strongly advise against escalating this situation." "You dare threaten me?" Drexel snarled. "Our First Strike Fleet has conquered solar systems. Your handful of vessels, no matter how unusual, cannot stand against such power." On the Phoenix's bridge, Olivia monitored the quantum field readings with growing concern. "Director, the quantum signatures I'm detecting from hyperspace suggest a massive fleet approaching. Far larger than our intelligence predicted." Richardson nodded grimly. "Admiral Drexel is proving more stubborn than expected. Initiate Protocol Omega. Alert the other vessels." The space around Earth began to shimmer as previously invisible quantum field generators activated throughout the solar system. The Draconian sensors lit up with hundreds of new energy signatures, forming a vast web of interconnected quantum fields. "What trickery is this now?" Drexel demanded, watching as his tactical display became cluttered with incomprehensible readings. "No trickery, Admiral," Richardson replied calmly. "Just preparation. We've spent decades preparing for this moment, knowing that sooner or later, some empire would mistake our peaceful nature for weakness." The First Strike Fleet emerged from hyperspace in a dazzling display of military might. 200 of the most advanced Draconian warships, their crystalline hulls gleaming with power, formed up around the Eternal Dominance. Fleet Commander Vexthal, a legendary figure in the Empire, immediately opened communications. "High Admiral, our sensors detect unusual energy patterns throughout this system. What exactly are we dealing with?" Before Drexel could respond, the Phoenix and its sister ships began to move. They took up positions at key points within the quantum field network, their own fields resonating with the larger system. Olivia's fingers danced across her control panel, fine-tuning the harmonics. "Quantum field synchronization complete," she reported. "All nodes responding. The network is ready." Fleet Commander Vexthal, not waiting for Drexel's response, took command of the situation. "All vessels, battle formation Delta. Concentrate fire on the nearest human vessel. Let's see how their technology handles concentrated fire from 200 ships." The Draconian fleet moved with precision, their weapons charging in unison. The combined energy output would have been enough to crack a planet. As they prepared to fire, Richardson gave a simple command. "MS. Patel, show them why scoffing at human ingenuity was their greatest mistake." Olivia activated the full quantum field network. What happened next defied conventional physics. As the Draconian fleet fired, their energy weapons intersected with the quantum fields. Instead of dissipating or being absorbed, the energy seemed to fold back on itself. Space twisted in ways that made the Draconian sensors crash, unable to process what they were seeing. "Impossible!" Vexthal roared. "All ships, cease fire. Something's wrong with the weapon systems." But it was too late. The quantum fields had created a cascade effect, turning the Draconians' own massive energy discharge back against them. Their shields, designed to protect against external attacks, had no defense against weapons fire that technically originated from within their own ships. "Director," Olivia called out, her voice tight with concentration, "the quantum cascade is stable. Should I proceed with Phase 2? Richardson studied the tactical display, watching as the mighty Draconian fleet found itself trapped in its own weapons discharge. Proceed. Let's show them exactly why underestimating humanity was their last mistake. The Phoenix and its sister ships began to pulse in perfect synchronization, their quantum fields expanding and contracting in a complex pattern. The space around the Draconian fleet started to ripple and distort, as if reality itself was becoming fluid. In the eternal dominance, Drexel watched in horror as his mighty armada began to experience effects that violated everything he understood about physics. Ships reported simultaneous system failures across all decks. Weapons existed in states of both firing and not firing. Engines ran at full power while completely shut down. "What have you done?" he whispered, his earlier scorn replaced by genuine fear. "We've simply shown you why appearances can be deceiving," Richardson replied. "And why mocking what you don't understand is never wise. But don't worry, Admiral. The truly unexpected part is yet to come." The quantum fields pulsed one final time, and the entire Draconian fleet was about to learn exactly how wrong their initial scorn had been. The vast quantum field surrounding the Draconian fleet pulsed with increasing intensity, creating patterns of light that defied natural law. Inside the Phoenix, Olivia Patel's fingers moved across her console with practiced precision, orchestrating what would become the most astonishing display of human technological advancement the galaxy had ever witnessed. "Quantum resonance at critical threshold," she announced, her voice steady despite the enormous energy she was manipulating. "Ready to initiate final phase, Director." Richardson nodded, his eyes fixed on the tactical display showing the 200 Draconian warships caught in their quantum web. "Proceed with protocol revelation. Let's show them exactly why their scorn was misplaced." The Phoenix and its sister ships began moving in perfect synchronization, forming a geometric pattern that seemed to fold through dimensions beyond normal space. As they moved, the quantum field began to shift in ways that made the Draconian sensors simply shut down, unable to process what they were detecting. "By the ancient void," Fleet Commander Vexthal exclaimed, watching as reality itself seemed to bend around his ships. "All vessels, emergency temporal drives. Get us out of here." But when the Draconian ships attempted to activate their escape systems, something unprecedented occurred. Instead of breaking free, each ship found itself existing in multiple states simultaneously. Their temporal drives both active and inactive, their positions both fixed and shifting. High Admiral Drexel, his earlier mockery forgotten, could only watch in horror as the impossible unfolded before him. "What kind of demons are you?" he demanded, his voice trembling. "Not demons, Admiral," Richardson replied calmly. "Just humans who understood that the best way to advance wasn't to follow the same technological path as everyone else. While you were perfecting your crystal-based technology, we took a different approach entirely." Olivia's voice cut through the tension. "Quantum probability matrix at maximum coherence. Beginning final sequence." The space around the Draconian fleet began to crystallize, not with physical matter, but with frozen possibilities. Ships found themselves unable to move, trapped in a lattice of quantum probability where every possible action and its opposite existed simultaneously, effectively paralyzing them in a state of infinite potential but zero actual movement. "This is beyond impossible," Drexel's science officer screamed, his instruments showing readings that violated every known law of physics. "They're not just manipulating space, they're manipulating probability itself." The Phoenix's quantum field pulsed one final time, and suddenly every weapon system in the Draconian fleet activated, but not in the way their crews had intended. Instead of firing outward, each weapon turned inward, creating a closed loop of energy that fed back into the ship's own systems. "Don't worry," Richardson assured the panicking Draconian commanders. "Your crews are in no danger. We're not monsters, despite your assumptions about us. But your ships are about to experience something rather unexpected." The energy feedback loop, combined with the quantum probability field, began to have an effect that none of the Draconians could have anticipated. Their mighty warships, pride of the Empire, started to transform. The crystalline hulls, which had been the foundation of their technology for millennia, began to resonate with the quantum field in ways their designers had never imagined possible. "Director," Olivia called out, "crystalline transmutation is proceeding exactly as calculated. Shall I complete the sequence?" Richardson allowed himself a small smile. "Complete it. Let's show them the true power of human innovation." The quantum field flashed brilliantly, and when the light faded, the mighty Draconian fleet had been transformed. Their ships still existed, but not as weapons of war. The crystalline structures had been transmuted on a quantum level, turned into something entirely different but equally complex. On the Eternal Dominance's bridge, Drexel stared in disbelief at his tactical display. Where moments before had floated 200 of the most powerful warships in the galaxy, now drifted 200 massive crystalline structures of incredible beauty and complexity, but with no military capability whatsoever. What have you done to our fleet? He whispered. We've given your ships a new purpose, Richardson explained. Your weapons, your military technology, it's all still there, but transformed into something more beneficial. Your warships are now floating galleries of crystalline art, each one containing the quantum signatures of 1,000 possible peaceful futures. The implication slowly dawned on the Draconian leaders. Their fleet hadn't been destroyed, it had been fundamentally changed on a level they hadn't believed possible. Every attempt to reverse the process would only create new artistic variations, as the quantum probability matrix ensured that military functionality was no longer a possible state for these vessels. You see, Admiral, Richardson continued, when you scoffed at our ship, you made the same mistake countless others have made throughout history. You assumed that because we didn't show obvious weapons, we were weak. You never considered that we might have developed something so far beyond conventional weapons that it would appear almost magical to you. The Phoenix moved gracefully through the field of crystalline sculptures that had once been the pride of the Draconian military, its quantum field humming softly. But this wasn't the end of humanity's demonstration. In fact, the most unexpected revelation was still to come. The crystalline art gallery that had once been the mighty First Strike fleet drifted in elegant formations around the Eternal Dominance. High Admiral Drexel, his scales now a pale shade of defeat, watched as his last hopes of military victory dissolved. But the humans weren't finished with their demonstration. Admiral, Richardson's voice carried an edge of anticipation. What you've witnessed so far has been impressive, but it's merely a prelude. Olivia, initiate the Nexus protocol. The Phoenix's quantum field began to pulse with a new pattern, one that made the very fabric of space-time ripple like water. The vessel's hull seemed to blur, existing in multiple states simultaneously, each one more impossible than the last. Director, Olivia called out, her fingers dancing across her console with practiced precision. The quantum nexus is forming. All parameters are optimal. What happened next defied explanation in any known language. The Phoenix appeared to fold in on itself, not physically, but through probability space. As it did, hundreds of quantum echoes emerged, each one a fully realized version of the vessel from a different probability stream. Impossible. Drexel's science officer collapsed in his chair, his instruments smoking from trying to analyze what they were seeing. They're pulling alternate versions of their ship from other quantum realities. The Phoenix had become a nexus point, a quantum probability hub that connected hundreds of parallel timelines. Each version of the vessel had faced different challenges, developed different solutions, and now all that knowledge and capability was flowing into a single point in space-time. You see, Admiral, Richardson explained, his voice carrying a hint of satisfaction. When we unveiled the Phoenix, we weren't just revealing a new vessel. We were revealing humanity's mastery of quantum reality itself. Each of these echoes represents a timeline where we developed our technology in a slightly different way. And now, we can access all of them simultaneously. The quantum echoes began to synchronize, their fields merging into a vast network that encompassed the entire solar system. Earth itself seemed to shimmer as the quantum field enveloped it, connecting it to countless alternate versions of itself across the multiverse. The reason your scorn was so misplaced, Olivia added, was that you were judging us based on what you can see in this single reality. But humanity has learned to exist across all probabilities simultaneously. We're not just one civilization, we're every version of ourselves that could possibly exist. As if to demonstrate this point, the quantum field suddenly expanded, revealing glimpses of other Earths, other human civilizations, all connected through the quantum nexus. Some had developed crystal technology far beyond the Draconians' capabilities, others had mastered energy forms the Empire had never imagined, and still others had evolved in ways that defied conventional physics. This, Richardson declared, is humanity's true achievement. We haven't just built a better ship or a more powerful weapon. We've transcended the limitations of single reality existence. The implication slowly dawned on the Draconian leaders. They hadn't just encountered a new type of vessel, they had witnessed the emergence of a civilization that could draw upon the combined knowledge and capabilities of infinite versions of itself. Their scorn hadn't just been misplaced, It had been catastrophically short-sighted. The choice before you now, Admiral, Richardson continued, is simple but profound. The Draconian Empire can either adapt to this new reality or become obsolete. Your transformed fleet is just the beginning. We can help your civilization evolve beyond the limitations of single-reality existence, or you can cling to your old ways and watch as the universe moves forward without you. Drexel, his earlier arrogance completely shattered, could only stare in wonder at the quantum tapestry unfolding before him. Every assumption he had made, every dismissive thought about human capability, now seemed like the thoughts of a child who had mocked a master without recognizing true wisdom. How? He finally managed to ask. How did we not see this coming? Because, Olivia replied with a gentle smile, you were looking for advancement along paths you understood. You never considered that we might step off the path entirely and create our own way forward. Your scorn wasn't just directed at our vessel. It was directed at the very idea that someone might succeed by breaking all the rules you thought were unbreakable. The Phoenix, now the center of a vast quantum network connecting infinite human civilizations, hung in space as a testament to the folly of underestimating those you don't understand. The Draconian Empire, which had dominated through force for millennia, now faced a power that had transcended the very concept of conventional military might. Welcome, Richardson said, to humanity's true nature. We're not just the civilization you see before you. We're every civilization we could possibly be, all working in harmony across the quantum landscape of reality itself. Your scorn didn't just witness an unexpected end. It witnessed the beginning of something entirely new. And as the quantum field stabilized, connecting Earth to infinite versions of itself across the multiverse, the galaxy witnessed the birth of not just a new power, but a new way of existing. The enemy had scoffed at humanity's new vessel, never imagining that the vessel itself was merely the key to unlocking humanity's true potential, the ability to transcend reality itself.